Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hey, it's Michelle Wong coming to you for another solo episode from Bali. Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. And I am recording this in my bedroom in Bali, and I wanted to talk about self-love, people-pleasing, and standing up for yourself today. And this all transpired over the past few days for myself. My intention when I moved, or when I was planning my stay in Bali, was to find a 1 week stay, and then during that 1 week to look for my more quote-unquote permanent home in the area. And so for the past, I've been here for a little bit over a week now. So for the past 10 days, when I first arrived, I was pretty looking for a monthly villa that I can rent that has, a living area, a bedroom, and a kitchen, and, close to the things that I, see myself attending a lot, like the yoga studio and restaurants that I enjoyed. And so I spent the past 10 days, past week or so, looking for a place. And time was kind of getting close to the end of my stay at my 1 week, through Airbnb. And I found a place that I liked. I really liked it actually, but the problem was there wasn't air conditioning. And Bali is like a hot and humid tropical island. So I definitely needed AC. But the woman that I was looking to rent from, she actually had 4 villas that were vacant, right, due to the pandemic. And so she had 2 other ones that were AC, that had AC, but was a lot smaller. And because it was smaller, I said no initially because it was a little bit too small. I saw myself in a space more spacious. But the one thing I did like about her villas was that everything was enclosed, meaning that a lot of villas here, at least in the area where I'm at, they have a lot of open space. So there's no fourth wall, so to speak. Like the bedroom is enclosed. The bathroom sometimes is outdoor bathroom. It's private, but it's still outdoors. And for me, I attract so many mosquitoes that I did not want an outdoor toilet because I knew that I was going to get bit at night if I were to use it. And then the kitchen area was also outdoors. So I wanted one that had walls, 4 walls, a roof, all of it. And those are pretty hard to find actually. So this woman that I was checking out her place, all of her villas were enclosed, and she told me that's what she preferred. And so because of that, I decided to just take one of the smaller villas. And I was there for 3 nights, and this is where it's so important to come back to our own selves. I didn't necessarily sense it when I was just looking, but when I finally moved in, for whatever reason, I could not feel grounded in my body. I already paid her the rent, and I was actually concerned about Wi-Fi connectivity because it was very spotty, and I need strong Wi-Fi for my business, and you can probably see where this is going. And when I was staying at my Airbnb for the week, they actually had the same Wi-Fi speed, and I was able to, do video calls. I was able to even watch, some movies. So I thought it would be the same for when I moved to the new place because it was the same Wi-Fi speed. However, it was not good. It kept dropping. I couldn't even upload stories on my phone on Instagram. And so it was actually pretty frustrating. And I spoke with the owner, and it was just very slow. Like the whole communication was a little bit it just wasn't happening. And I was concerned because I was going to have client calls, and I'm like, this is making me really nervous because the internet speed has not increased yet. She said she was going to go do it. She hasn't yet. And there was issues with even the bath water, like the shower water. It was hot, cold, and it wasn't fixed. I wasn't very clear on when it was going to get fixed. And I was like, I'm not really feeling grounded, and I don't know what to do. And I guess I had two options. One was to quote unquote suck it up and just endure it for the month. The rent was really low. Like it was super, super low. Like really low, that technically I could just walk. Or it was so low that, I could just walk away. So that was my second option, to suck it up or to walk away. And I had to sit on it for a bit. And the Airbnb where I stayed for that first week, I actually really enjoyed staying there. I felt at home immediately. And so I reached out to the owner of my first Airbnb and asked how much would it cost to stay for a month. And he gave me a really good deal. It cost a little bit more than the other place, but it was, by North American standards, it's like super low. I'm talking about like less than $500 US, right? And so I was like, okay. And I really sat with it, and I said, okay, if you can give me faster Wi-Fi speed, if you can guarantee that, let's do it. And so he was able to immediately, within 2 hours, get back to me and say, the Wi-Fi speed has been upgraded. You can move in anytime. And that just felt good in my body. And I appreciated his sense of urgency, which he took action. He took immediate action. Because, it's his business as well, and he wanted my business. And so I made the executive decision to move, and I told the owner of my 1 month stay, and it was uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable. Like I texted her a message because I didn't know when I was going to see her, and it was nothing against her because she was very kind, very accommodating to my needs. And it was just like, I just needed something a little bit faster. I needed a faster response. I needed someone who understood the importance of the things that were really important to me at the same level of urgency. And she was more, easygoing about it, which I think is, everybody has a different measure of urgency, and I needed something faster. So anyway, my whole point of this was that the whole time it was very uncomfortable, and I did feel very bad. Like I felt bad when she got my message the next morning. When I came back from going to the grocery store, she saw me and she said, "Hey," she's like, "Yeah, no worries. I already have somebody coming to fix the shower." And on Monday, that day, it was a Saturday, she said, on a Monday, I'm going to go and increase the Wi-Fi speed. And I said to her, no, it's okay. Like I already told the other owner that I'm going to move in tomorrow, so you don't have to do that. And there was disappointment in her face, and I felt disappointed. And so my whole point of this is that I'm an empath, right? So an empath is someone that feels other people's emotions, and we also feel our own emotions and other people's energies, and it affects our energy. And so like a lot of times, it's really easy to allow not wanting to hurt someone else's feelings or disappoint somebody that we sacrifice our own. And I think in the past, I might have done that because it's like, oh, it's too awkward. I don't want her to feel bad. I rather feel bad. And the thing was, I already felt bad, right? She also felt bad, but I had to stand up for my needs and my desires, and I had to really value myself because I could not imagine myself being there for a whole month and being stressed out, right? This was not the intention. And also like, the Wi-Fi could not be trusted. The router was not in my room or not in my villa. It was in a different villa in the same complex. And I knew that I was the only person there and the Wi-Fi was already spotty. Even if she upgraded, I wasn't sure if it was going to be reliable. And what if somebody else ended up moving in, we would be sharing the same router. So I'm just like, this is not feeling good. And maybe I should have thought through it before I made the decision. But I made the assumption that because the Wi-Fi speed was the same as my original place, that it was going to be the same experience, and it wasn't. So I had to do what was right for me and also move through the feelings that I was feeling, and being able to process it. Just because we feel, it doesn't mean that we need to let our emotions dictate our decisions, because I still felt bad, and it's okay. It really is okay to feel bad for making the other person feel bad, and also still take a stand for what is it that we really want and our needs, and putting our own self first, our own priority first. Because I truly believe that at the end of the day, what is good for me is going to be good for the rest of the world. What is good for you is going to be good for the rest of the world, because we cannot sacrifice our own health and our own well-being for other people for the long term. You know what I mean? I mean, if it was just a day of suffering bad Wi-Fi and knowing that I was going to get like hot, cold water shower, maybe for a day I can put up with it, but it felt really in the unknown, and it was just like, I have a business to run, right? And so I was really sitting with these emotions, and I'll tell you what doesn't help, right? It doesn't help if someone says, you should not feel bad. You need to like this, I was talking to my mom, and my mom isn't necessarily an empath. And I understand where she was coming from, but I was like, I'm feeling a lot of feelings, and I feel bad, and I'm still moving through, like I'm still sticking with my decision, but it doesn't change the fact that I get to feel what I feel. And it's through the feeling that we get to move through things. And that creates resilience. It's not by shutting down and by saying, well, F it. Like, it's not by toughening up and building a wall around our heart and trying to block out that feeling. That just creates, what's that word? It creates a little bit of like a disconnection. I'm sure in psychology there's, a term or some type of syndrome or whatever down the road if we keep doing that. But it really can block our heart rather than going into the actual feeling. And it's not about necessarily being tough and not giving a crap about somebody. I mean, some people who might not be empathic might be like, it's no big deal. I have to do what I need to do, and the other person is just going to have to deal with it, which technically it is. Like, at the end of the day, each of us has to process their own disappointment, but it's not by shutting it out if you are an empath and you're feeling things. And so for me, I just had to talk it out. I had to talk it out and just have it be witnessed. Also doing some emotional freedom techniques, some tapping also helps to process my emotions. But we get to make decisions that it's an alignment for our ultimate good, even if it's not necessarily feeling good for either party. And I am back at my original stay. And I just feel more at home, right? Like, I have, it's on the second floor. I have balcony access. I had my breakfast here this morning. They brought it up. I swam in the pool last night because I moved in yesterday. And I actually have more space. Even though technically I'm in a studio, it's just, it's like almost like a big hotel suite with a big room and a bathroom and a balcony. But because I have access to the balcony and the pool, I have more options of doing work and spending my time. And the other space, I had more I had a separate bedroom, I had a separate living area, but because there was not a lot of outdoor seating, and because the space was small, it was like I have an option of sitting by the bar stools or turning around and sitting by the couch. Those are my two seating options. There was a pool, but there wasn't any seating outside the pool. The little outdoor outside of the front door was just like a step or two. So it wasn't like I could really sit out, right? And it's hot and I can open all the doors, but I don't want to attract more mosquitoes into my living space and more bugs. So I felt actually a little bit energetically constricted. All of these things, it was like I did not consider it until I was actually in the villa. And so there's a dance, right? Sometimes there's things that we are able to put up with, and then there's other things where for our well-being, it's better to just be uncomfortable and to move forward anyway and move through the discomfort rather than shutting down our emotions and not feel. I don't think that is healthy, because that can create a lot of conditioning and programming, and then maybe the word is unhealed, unresolved wounds or trauma down the road. Trauma can show up in so many different ways, and shutting down feelings can be a huge one, just like unprocessed trauma, unprocessed wounds, unprocessed feelings. And and just, in terms of, how I navigated all of that, I did ask for 50% of my month back, because I only stayed there for 3 nights, and I felt like 50% was more than fair, and she agreed. And so here I am back at my original stay, and I'll be here for at least a month, and it's lovely. So anyway, I wanted to share that was a lot of emotions over the past few days, and now I feel like I'm back in my body, and so that has been my past few days. I hope that was helpful if you are also an empath. And what's, it's funny because I was talking to yesterday when I came back, I went out for lunch, and there's this really awesome restaurant, like a small eatery, and the owner and I were chatting of the restaurant, and he also speaks Mandarin. So him and I were talking Mandarin. He was asking me, how's your day been? Have you been busy? And I said, well, I actually, a few days ago, I moved to a new villa, and actually it wasn't the right fit. So I moved back. And he nodded. He's like, oh, that is so common. Don't even worry about it. It happens all the time. I do that because energy is important. Environment is important. And that's not something you can change. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. So it happens all the time. He's like, I wouldn't even sweat it. And he understood, and it felt good just to hear that. And so, that was actually affirming to hear. And so anyway, that's been my past few days. And I'm very happy that now that I'm back, I tested the Wi-Fi, he upgraded it. So I was able to do a Zoom call, no problem. And so yes, this week is going to be a busy week. We have power and rest, deconditioning magic that's happening actually in a few hours. And so if this is something that you're interested in, please reach out. The Unfolding membership, you have access to all of the programs. So if that's something that you want to learn more about, please don't hesitate to reach out. All the links are in show notes. And I hope you have a beautiful week, day, wherever you're at, and talk to you soon. Cheers! Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.